Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. This video is going to be sort of like a part 3 to close off and connect with the previous two videos, one on why it's okay to be a beginner forever and the second one on why your art matters even if no one sees it. Now this one is going to be on dealing with self-doubt as an artist because that's something that we have all gone through. So feel free to like and subscribe on your way in. All announcements will be at the end, so stick around for that. And I just hope you enjoy the video, get something out of it. Feel free to comment if you want. And again, thank you so much for being here. So if you've ever sat and thought, well, maybe I will never be good enough, so to speak. If that's a thought that has crossed your mind, you're not alone. We have all been there. We've all experienced this feeling of maybe I'm just not cut out for this art thing. And I feel like my two last videos gave a very good foundation to move into this. So we can be able to just get out of that headspace. So I'm going to talk about a few things. So the first one is, where does the doubt come from? Number one, comparison. The social media trap, as I talked about in the previous videos and on many other videos as well, and on my newsletter, I've talked about it endlessly. Is comparing yourself to other artists. This comes in two primary forms, in my opinion. The first form is comparison of skill. Comparison of skill is when someone is just better than you and you compare yourself to them constantly. It's something that you do subconsciously, comparing yourself to them. And you don't know you're doing it until it begins to have an effect negatively on your life as an artist. The second one is comparison by numbers. Now, numbers in this case is followers, likes, engagement, etc. Whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on ArtStation, on DeviantArt, on Kara, on X, there's endless platforms in which art is posted. But that's the second point of comparison, where you attach the value of your art to the amount of engagement it gets, which is not good because that affects why you create art, how you create art, how often you create art, all because you're like, let me create something that someone will like, instead of asking yourself, what do I like? And then creating that. The second one is a fear of the future. Personally, for me, this is one I think I deal with the most, is if you're pursuing a professional career, character design, animation, concept art, storyboarding, and all the other branches of the art side of filmmaking, there's this sense of, will I really be able to make it? And then you start giving yourself excuses. And I think for me, the biggest excuse that I give myself is, oh, I've not been drawing for too long. It's only been like 2.5 or 2 years since I started doing art. Am I really cut out for this? The job market is full, and then there's artificial intelligence, and then there's, art, this starving artist trope, which I don't really believe in. But again, that's just a bunch of excuses to stop me from going there, and in turn doubting myself and doubting my ability to do so. Third thing is the inner critic. This one is one that not just artists, but every human being on earth faces when it comes to pursuing anything. It's just that inside voice within you that's like, are you sure? I don't think you can do it. You're wasting your time. You don't have enough time. You started too late. And stuff like that. That inner voice is one of the main things within us as humans that stops us from pursuing things. We start thinking too much about the risks instead of the rewards. And yeah, I think for me that's what I would say are the three things that stop They're the three things that bring that form of self-doubt. So comparison of numbers and comparison of art skills, fear of the future, and your inner critic. So the second thing I want to talk about is, what does this self-doubt within us do to us? Number one, it makes us avoid drawing. Personally, for me, I think I wouldn't say, no, I think it was earlier this year, I think between March and April, let's say the month of March roughly, I didn't draw as much as I wanted to. And that's because I doubted myself a lot. Every time I'd put pencil on paper, I'd think too much about everything that could go wrong. Instead of, what if I draw something that I end up enjoying? Instead of thinking of, what if I'm just doing this for fun, for leisure, just because I want to. Instead of thinking of that, I thought of every single thing that could go wrong, and it made me draw less. The second thing is, it pushes us to perfectionism. When you doubt yourself too much, you're like, every piece has to be perfect, which, as not just me, but many other artists have talked about, is a very, very bad thing. Attaining perfection is not necessarily possible, because perfection is subjective. In my opinion, the perfection of art is subjective. Yes, there are high standards, or standards where you can say, when you see an artist's work, like, I'd just give an example of my favorite artists. When I see Sam Does Arts, or Loish, or Aaron Blaze, or Glenn Keane doing stuff, I'm like, that's a standard. But even they don't consider their work to be perfect. So what right do I have, the beginner/intermediate artist that I am, to want to pursue and have every single piece being perfect? It just does not make sense. If they haven't attained perfection, quote unquote, why would I stress myself to want to do so with every single piece I do? And I'm not saying that it's bad to want things to be perfect, but you can't want everything to be perfect. And the third thing is, it just makes you want to quit. And I have been in this space for a while, more than once, unfortunately, where it's just like, you know what, I'm just going to go back to my original goal of pursuing marine biology and zoology or psychology, which still feels I'm interested in and actively studying, but that's not what I want to do the rest of my life. And getting out of that space of, wanting to quit and continuing regardless is one thing that I can say has changed my life significantly. And the third thing is, now, how do we reframe self-doubt? So I think we can reframe it by taking it from a positive side of things, if that makes sense. Bear with me here. So you can say something like, self-doubt just means you care about your art. The fact that you feel like, maybe I'm not doing the right thing, in a lot of cases means you are doing the right thing. And that's just personally speaking. I feel like in spaces in which, whether it's in regards to studying subjects, or doing art, or music, or sports, or working out, relating to people, whatever it is, when you start to doubt yourself, a lot of the time you find that it's because you're doing the right thing. The only problem is, now you're just uncertain. That's the only difference. It's just the amount of uncertainty within you. Not necessarily doubt, but uncertainty. But if you take that wrong, it becomes doubt. So second thing in regards to reframing self-doubt is, as slightly mentioned in the previous section, is professional artists that we look up to and admire face the same things. They have sketches that they're never going to show the world. They have times when they've spent hours on a piece and they abandon it. They have doubted themselves, and they were where we are right now. And the fact that they pushed through, I think, should motivate us. So if you were to take the comparison thing, the only way you should be able to compare yourself to your favorite artist is to tell yourself, this favorite artist of mine was where I am currently, and I can be where they are in so many years, months, etc., depending on what you're pursuing, what your skill level is, and a bunch of other factors. But taking the comparison thing, compare yourself in a good way, positive light. Give yourself motivation to be able to pursue and reach out. And this connects to being a beginner forever because you're constantly learning and adapting. And therefore, you reframe yourself down to be, you know what, I might not be there yet, but that just means I care enough to keep going. So, what are practical ways to deal with this self doubt? I'd say create privately. Not everything has to be posted. And this brings me to something that I announced a bit ago. It's been 2 weeks since I started a 6 week hiatus from Instagram. And the reason of this experiment was just to see, will my art improve if I didn't have to show it to anyone? And so far, I'd say yes. My art has been improving steadily, more than I thought it would, just by the fact of no one has to see this at all. Of course, I still have there's a friend or two who see some of the sketches that I do. But again, I don't have to show them to anyone. But of course, I'll put some of them up here for you guys to see what I'm talking about. Most of them are done traditionally. And the second thing is balance study and fun. One for skill and one for joy. I do studies here and there, clothing studies, anatomy, etc., and character design and courses, etc. But I also just sketch because I want to sketch. And I feel like the most important tool that helped me with that, and I might even have to make an entire separate video about it, is the sketchbook. Just it's a sketchbook. And it can be a pencil and paper. It doesn't have to be a sketchbook, but I mean traditional art. I feel like for me, it's just easier to pick up a pencil or a pen. I draw with pen as well, and just sketch. The next thing is tracking small progress. We all have long-term goals, but I think we should set short-term goals. So you have a long-term goal of being a character designer. You have a short-term goal of learning anatomy. You can have an even shorter-term goal of learning how to draw one particular part of the body, or learning how to construct the body using basic shapes, and then break that down further to learning how to draw spheres, cylinders, and triangles, cubes, etc. in perspective. So breaking down those and then tracking them and saying, I achieved this today, I achieved this today, I achieved this today. And the fourth thing is community matters. I'll speak more for the Instagram and YouTube side of things because those are the platforms in which I feel like my community is the strongest. And this can come in a few ways. There's accountability, where you post often and you show people just the raw side of your artistic life. And then there's also just hearing feedback from people. Comments, I feel like, are my favorite way to do anything. Even from a consumer's perspective, if you follow me on Instagram, you know I follow a lot of people. I follow 3,000 or more people, and I engage with a lot of content. I never scroll on Reels, but my Instagram, consumption time can still be 4 or 5 hours a day just because I'm commenting on people's work. And I do the same a lot on YouTube. I love just commenting, sharing sometimes. I like watching even 1 or 2 hour art videos and stuff like that, just because I love it that much. So community matters, and I feel like it can also help keep you accountable. And then lastly, in regards to practical ways to deal with the self-doubt, is shifting your focus to more of the process of creating the art rather than the result of doing so. When you create art, you should focus more on did I show up today, instead of how good does this look? Because showing up is more important than the result, because it slowly builds a discipline to the point where drawing does not become a chore. Even when it's difficult, it's still fun. But that can only be built if you learn to accept that the process is one of, if not the best part, because it's where you learn the most. The end result is good. You see the finished picture, but the process is where it all comes from. And yeah, so the last thing I want to talk about is the bigger picture. So, what if I am not good enough? Everyone's life is different. Everyone's artistic life is different. Everyone is pursuing different paths in life. Everyone is going through something different at different times. Your path is not straight. No one's is. No one's path is straight. You might want to pursue a career, but you feel like there's a lot of lumps and bumps in the road. That's good, because that's what's necessary for you to be able to get there. And another thing is, even if you're not pursuing a professional career, art itself, creativity, is worthwhile even if you're not doing it as a job. It doesn't have to be a business. You don't have to open a shop or stuff like that. I mean, yes, some of us do. But you can just do it as a hobby. It's okay to have art as a hobby. A lot of people are artistic hobbyists. They're not pursuing this career professionally. So keeping it like that makes it more fun. And when you're pursuing a professional career, self-doubt will show up again. But even in the midst of that, you'll grow out of it and you'll be stronger each time. Because when it hits and you succeed, you learn a lesson from that. You pick up yourself and you're like, you know what? We fell down, but I learned these 3 things from that period of self-doubt, and I'm just going to push and keep going. And in closing, self-doubt doesn't necessarily mean you're failing. It means you're human. It means you care. And if you care enough to doubt, you already have what it takes to keep going. It sounds contradictory, but it's true. And you're not alone in this. All of us are going through it. And your art and your journey still matters. So if you're an artist out there who's been struggling with self-doubt or low self-esteem in regards to art, I hope that this has helped to some extent. Everyone's journey is completely different. You are not alone. So feel free to comment your thoughts or moments or stories in which you have gone through stuff like this, what you did to overcome it. The comments are really, really helpful. I've learned a lot from my comments, the comments that I've seen on my videos and posts, etc. And that will be it for this video. It's just slightly longer than, well, not slightly. It was much longer than the previous ones, but I felt like it was something important to talk about to sort of wrap up this more podcast-ish style of creation. Podcast-ish style of video. And yeah, that's it from me, I guess, in regards to that topic. So now just a few things that I wanted to mention before I forget, because I, for some reason, forget to write things down before doing videos. But anyway, firstly, thank you so much again for being here. I will not say it enough. Thank you. My Redbubble store and Gumroad stores are still open. Not as active, but still open regardless. I just started, or have been planning on announcing a Discord server for artists to come and connect. And so I'm officially announcing it here, that there is a link in the description below for a Discord server that I've created. It's bare bones, bare minimum. It's just a place for artists to connect. There's maybe 1 or 2 people in there, and that was when I was testing it a few months ago. But now I just want to release it to the public, and we'll improve it. We'll improve it as we go. If you want to know more of my thoughts on things that are not related to art, I have a podcast. As some of you may know, link to that will be in the description as well. But more actively, I have a newsletter where I talk about anything and everything. It's weekly, bi-weekly, sometimes tri-weekly. It's on Substack. So yeah, you can check out the link in the description below. I will not take much more of your time. Feel free to leave suggestions for future videos, topics. Do you guys want vlogs? Do you want behind the scenes? Do you want me to try an art challenge. And then also feel free to suggest ideas for future art. I'm always open to experimenting, whether it's clothing, suggest an animal to draw, or would you guys want me to do a fan art of some sort? I am fully open to these suggestions. And maybe in my next video, I will have the time lapses of your suggestions playing as I talk about whatever I'm going to talk about in the next video. So with that being said, this has been wonderful to talk about, and I hope it helped, and I will see you guys in the next one. So take care and goodbye.